So, lots of hype. Lots of hype. Big question is, did you download or did you buy Space Marine 2 already?
Yeah, I downloaded it. I did. I will admit it.
You paid the day one.
I paid the day one
tax.
I paid 90 Canadian dollars.
Woo,
and I haven't even opened it yet. I just was like,
you're such a dad.
I just saw the group chat.
Yeah.
And how like it was just likely to happen, and then I was like, okay, I should be prepared to go anytime. So I will. I didn't tell my wife, of course.
No, that's just.
Yeah, we're just gonna let that.
She'll find out anyways. But
just gonna let that simmer for a little while, and then
the best part about I bought Space Marine 2. It was Heather's birthday when I bought it for myself. felt a little wrong.
To you.
It felt a little wrong, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to tell the audience. You did get her something?
Yes. Come on, I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster.
Was it as good?
Wasn't as cool as Space Marine 2 though. Oh yeah, more both. It is what it is. So yeah, I fired it up. We're filming this, and it's only been out for a couple days now.
Yeah.
And being two dads with young kids, we don't get as much video game time as we'd like, but I have played through a couple of missions.
I have this before you continue. I have this like even if I do have some time, there's this crippling like if it's a new game, you need to you want to sink in like extra more than an hour or whatever.
No, you're right.
So even if you have a couple hours, you're like but I don't want to just throw it on and then turn it off after just basically getting through all the introductions. Good,
because what I did I think was almost not the way to, because I should have probably waited for a day off because it is kind of like one of those games where the missions are actually quite long. They're probably take you close to an hour to complete some of them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they feel very long. So you need a lot of time to sink into them, and because it's a new game and the mechanics are really unique to the game. There's a learning curve to it, so you don't really get a feel for it until you've in for a few hours for the combat and stuff.
Yeah.
But aside from all that, the hype is massive. Just from our own chats in the store with people and friends and customers and all that stuff, it looks like it's going to do incredibly well release week. I had to call because I'm a sucker for physical copies. I'm a boomer Chris over here. I had to call around a few stores actually to get one.
Apparently, you're not the only one.
Yeah, there's weirdos like me still.
There's a few of you guys.
Yeah. And so it seems like it's going to do really well. So we want to just do a video about how a game like that, because they don't come around very often, right? There's a lot of Warhammer licensed games, but there are very few of them that are kind of really big.
Yeah, but I feel like this is changing a bit. I feel like we had some years where, or let's say since, we'll call it New Era GW 2017 onwards, where they were just pooping out a lot of games, and eventually I think going ignoring the way back the Dawn of Wars and stuff. Obviously, those were the early the precursors, but I think Total War was obviously one of the ones that really in my opinion was a big massive success. It was one of the first extremely good Warhammer
if you exclude Dawn of War, to me that's the first one that were
there was that
one
for our generation is Dawn of War, but if you're thinking of upcoming, I think if you ask most 20 somethings, maybe they didn't play Dawn of War.
Total War,
so it might have been Total War. Games like Vermintide was also very good. Than Darktide, but I'm seeing a lot less of the nonsense where they just little companies spitting out games. They have their mobile games and their other things.
There's fun ones like Bolt Gun and stuff, which are Doom clones and things like
There's
that.
Little
cute,
ones,
right? Yeah.
But you're starting to see. I think anyway, the Games Workshop is starting to care more about who's making what and how they're making it, and I don't know. It's or maybe it's just the fact that it's lucrative enough that bigger game companies are okay, we want the 40K license so that we can make this crazy game.
Yeah.
And do it, and I mean, look, whether it's Universes Beyond 40K Magic Commander X or AAA 40K, Space Marine games, like stuff is hot right now, like very hot, and the games seem to be pretty good too. Like it's
I think it's one of those things where like if you can combine an IP that people love, right? And people are like, oh, whatever, but like no, it's true. There's a ton of fans of the Warhammer universe, and like I run into these people all the time. People that like read the books but don't have any like they don't build the models or do that. Like it's quite huge, and so if the video game or those products get to tap into those people, and then if it's in addition to that, like if it happens to be a good product on its own merit as well, that's when they kind of like truly ascend to these like huge levels, right? Like that's when you get the Total Wars, you get the Dawn of Wars, where you have this like amazing game, but it also brings in all the fans, and I think it goes like supernova, like for the company.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Dawn of War obviously did very because they made a bunch of sequels to it. They did Dawn of War 2, and I think they did like 3 and all.
They did 3, yeah.
But I feel like in that moment it was kind of on its own. Like it wasn't really.
Yeah.
Maybe that was part of it too. But now there's like I can think of a half dozen alone. Big games that
don't worry, there's a bunch on your phone you don't even know about. Yeah.
Oh sure.
yeah.
So much like the I guess the hype around I don't know, who knows what stage it's in, the 40K Amazon show or whatever, if that's even happening still. But all of these things, it's fun every time one of these things comes out or is announced. Here at the shop, it's like there's always chatter about it, and people ask like, does this result in anything? And I think we mentioned in previous videos that there is some residual. I don't know if it's you're gonna get a few more people wandering in and being like, I'm gonna start a Space Marine army because I played this game. I don't do the hobby, I've never done the hobby, but I play Space Marine 2. So there is a knock-on effect. But I wouldn't say it's like, holy crap, like people all of a sudden lining up and for the first time, like it's I don't know. I feel like in a store like ours, it's a maybe in the next 2-3 months we'll get 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah, and
at best case
it is also like an impossible. It's a very tough thing for like us to track because it's not like we have a survey at the till where it's just like, oh, why are you buying this today?
Sometimes people tell us,
but
like,
you do get the information
people
sometimes.
Say like, hey, I played the video games and I decided to jump in, and also don't forget it's like a completely different thing. Like it's building and painting Space Marines and playing tabletop is nothing like
playing Gears of War.
Like playing Gears of War. It's not.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna have that instant like gratification. Maybe there's probably a bit of like a moment in your head where you're like, oh, I'm because I would say aside from the lore, but like the physical Space Marine is like that's where it started with like the minis. Yeah. So I can imagine for some of these people, opening the first box of Space Marines might have a certain, I don't know,
feeling to it.
Feeling like, oh, I've got the real ones now. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
I think for a game like Dawn of War, when it came out, the company was so much smaller.
Oh yeah.
That having a Game of the Year PC game that had such wide mass appeal was an incredible recruiting tool for the company. Just like that, getting eyeballs on the hobby. You couldn't replicate that. Today, the company's so much bigger and so many more casual people know what Warhammer is. I feel like that effect is going to be a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to have quite the same kind of like recruitment power, even if it's a massive game. Like it's still going to obviously create some new customers for sure, because inevitably like people get excited and go check it out. Anytime you have a customer walk in, even to look, it's a chance, right? But one thing I think that's going to be really powerful, and I was even feeling this playing it, is I'm just thinking to myself, looking at all the product placement in the game, and how beautiful everything is, and how cool it is, and how well done it is. I'm like, this is going to sell a lot of stuff. Like to people that already
people,
to people that already engage in the hobby, this is going to sell a lot of Space Marine armies. Right. This is going to sell a lot. Like even just the first couple of missions, I'm seeing like Cadians run with like a Lehman Russ wheeling and firing its battle cannon, and you're like, this is cool, man. And you're like playing. I'm not going to throw any spoilers, but like your first like tutorial mission is like you play as a Death Watch Marine, and it's just badass.
so this is where I already know that I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be.
That's a famous J line already.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I hope that I'm wrong though. This is where Games Workshop should have dovetailed stuff to go with this.
Yeah.
Like next week should be like
Captain Titus or Lieutenant
whatever,
Titus.
right? Or this year's Christmas bundle comes with Titus in it.
Yeah.
And it's got the Space Marine 2 logo. And if you buy the $300 box, you get a code to download the game. All these things. There's no way they have that in the pipe.
The optimistic part of me says the reason we don't have these now is because video game companies are really terrible with deadlines. And that may be
true
because the pipeline of like getting miniatures ready for things is like so far in advance. Maybe Games Workshop was just waiting for the game to come out, and then they're gonna like wait for it to be like, you know, take off for the first month or two, and then they're gonna have, like you said, like a Christmas thing. I really hope, because like this is just too big of something to not have product tie-ins.
You're right, but as we talked about in our financial review video of how flush with cash GW is, they could have just put some boxes aside, pre-made them. Worst case.
No, that's what I'm hoping they did. That's what I'm hoping they did.
Because it would just be a standard box of products with an extra something chucked in.
They would have had to do that already, I think. Yeah. So if we'll see, because if something comes in the next month, that'll mean they've decided to do that like 12, 18 months ago.
I think this concept is harnessed so much in so many products, and even though GW has like much like different time scales and schedules, I think it would have been worth it to try and go all in and take a risk, because it is a risk to put a thing in a box, and then if it flops, then whatever. But then in the worst case, it would be another cool Space Marine. So I think the risk would be really low.
Look, man, the Callus and Toll box sells, and that's like an Age of Sigmar show. Like it's like on the scale of like Space Marine 2 to Callus and Toll.
Oh yeah,
it's like they're not even comparable,
like
right? So like
one's Everest and the other's a little.
Yeah, I feel like the risk thing is pretty low.
Yeah,
I worry that maybe they're just waking up to realizing this, but like as they become such a huge brand, with, like you said, the Amazon show and like all these things that are happening, these big video games, they need to start taking they need for them to pay off on this. Like they're leaving so much money on the table.
They're
it's
so
crazy.
bad at this. Like how this one has always got me. How was there no official Blood Ravens color scheme or whatever? Like,
oof, yeah.
This is like you could almost, I don't know, because obviously you have your big four, your Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Ultramarines, Space Wolves, and then the next section there is like, I guess we'd be like White Scars, Iron Hands, all those things. Like, how is there not a Blood Raven in the second tier?
Yeah. Gross mismanagement.
Yeah. And it would just take them probably having to make one new color.
Do you know why there isn't, Jay? And this is going to be a harsh truth that not a lot of people want to hear. Is because they don't listen. They don't spend any time at the trench level.
Say it louder.
Yeah. Like corporate guy doesn't want to hear really what the retail guy has to say, because if they did listen, they would hear that, like, we hear people all the time trying to do their Blood Raven color scheme, and maybe their pushback would be like, well, they're doing it anyways. It's like, okay, I guess so.
Yeah, sure.
But you could maybe make it easier.
First thing he does is look. What store are you from?
Yeah.
What do your numbers look like?
Yeah.
Are you in growth?
Yeah. Okay, I'm discounting everything I'm saying. Yeah.
And even if your numbers,
we're like, okay, you don't know what you're talking
about.
You're
doing your job. Yeah.
But they haven't been great at capitalizing on this sort of like easy kind of like low hanging fruit, I guess you could say.
No.
Because like if they do put something out in like 6 months, 12 months, like they'll have missed out on the premium hype. Right? Like yeah.
I mean, look, when a game's the first month when it's launched and it's good and everyone's playing it, that is its peak. Like like you gotta be slinging keychains. I
almost choked my coffee.
Yeah.
Keychains.
Here's another one. Okay, this is sort of related, but to this is how does Games Workshop not have its equivalent of the stupid collectible Marvel cards that the grocery stores are giving out?
I wonder if that's happening anywhere else.
Like, so here in Canada, like there's the evil grocery monopoly chain, Loblaws or whatever. I mean that literally.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
One of their things they're doing, which is like extremely successsul,
Yeah.
is when you spend $30, you get these little
card packs.
little card packs of Marvel characters, and there's a binder.
That you have to buy.
Yeah, of course.
You have to buy the binder.
Yeah. And if you shop with kids, which you probably do,
Yeah.
because that's you often go after school or something or whatever to the grocery store. Yeah, when the cashier hands your kid a couple of these little dinky Marvel cards, then the kids they're like, we got to go back, so I got to get more. I got to finish the binder.
That's right. Yeah.
So how is there not the equivalent of Space Marines and Eldar and whatever little binders?
Man. Oh man.
See, this is all this stuff is.
Yeah.
It's quite. Maybe I'm just. Maybe we're just prognosticating the dystopian future. The Games Workshop will have these things in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's like you're wishing them.
It certainly feels like we're going that way.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if they'll come up with these ideas from Castle Grayskull.
No, they do the coins already.
They do the coins already. Yeah, they are doing a little bit of this stuff. The free model and the coin or whatever.
They're just stupid for thinking that it has to be a metal coin. It could be just a little piece of paper.
But then you have people that tell you all the time that they want the coin. So
I know.
It's like very effective.
Coins cost a lot of money though.
Coins do cost more than paper. True. They're not being devious enough, is what Jay's saying. We're really earning the shill title today.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna go all in, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna already do these dumb things, like, let's just.
Sometimes like companies are just bad at being evil, like they kind of suck.
Probably does.
They're like dumber than they are evil.
This probably does also reinforce that we inherently don't think that they're evil.
No.
They're actually bad at being full evil. They're just.
Yeah, some people are gonna be like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "Yeah, they could be even more profit-seeking. They definitely could be.
They could be way more.
They could be more predatory about it for
yeah.
sure. There's always more. There's always more predatory. You don't believe me? Wait till the next price increase or whatever.
Next March, I'm sure. Yeah. Better get those Marines now before they're $100.
Space Marine 2. I hope you guys are. Yeah, well, let me know if you're enjoying it. Like I said, I've only put about a couple hours in, and it seems really cool. One of the things I'm hearing about it is like it's lacking a little bit of like content, but I think the plan is to kind of roll more stuff out. That's kind of the new way to release video games, right? Every single video game that comes out is kind of like unfinished.
I mean, Dark Tide needed a year to season, and now it's great.
Yeah,
it's all the features and junk is in there. So people are but video gamers have been so beaten down into just accepting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right, but it's just kind of what the offering is. That's why I love Nintendo. You usually get a finished game when you buy Nintendo.
You get one game a year or whatever.
You just have to wait a long time for it. Yeah. So those are the trade-offs. You guys playing it? What do you think? Tell us in the comments below. Or are you waiting for it to go down in price? Which a game like that, you might be waiting a few months. They usually do like a winter thing, so you might be okay.
Maybe winter time,
like a winter time
but
thing,
I can see it taking more.
Yeah. Just because if it's almost like inverse. Like if it sells really well, they kind of are really hesitant to start discounting it. So we'll see. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. And if you like these kind of videos, we have a couple coming out each week. We're trying to do about 3 a week now. And if you really like them, you can support us on Patreon.com. Find us at Lords of War Games and Hobbies, and we answer Patreon questions on there. And you can give us ideas for videos. We usually take them. So until next time, take care.
Thanks. Bye.